That's the charge down to turn one.
We've seen over the years, Matt, some of the best motorsport from a traditional standpoint, some of the best motorsport in this run, right from that start line into turn one. Neil Crompton always says how difficult it is. You can just see up there in the corner where the grass starts on the left-hand side of the road, and it'll be drama into turn one, as we've always seen.
Fuso grid looks like this. Pole position, Jamie Whincup, 9th time this year. Winterbottom backs himself from the front row of the grid. Equal best qualifier for the year for Lee Holdsworth in his last year at GRM. Craig Lowndes, second in the championship on the second row of the grid. Van Gisbergen and Davison, positions 5 and 6. Michael Caruso makes it 2 Fujitsu GRM cars inside the top 10. He's got Paul Dumbrell next to him. 2 young guys, very fast. Look out for Slade and Moffat. Carl Reindler, great effort, 11th. That's his best qualifier in 10 races. Todd Kelly, 3rd yesterday. Russell Ingall, the tireless campaigner, still punching away. There's our race winner from yesterday, and pole sitter as well, Rick Kelly. He'll start alongside Garth Tander. Davey Reynolds and Stephen Johnson, mid-pack, 17th and 18th. Tony D'Alberto's had his dramas this weekend. Alex Davison just can't get a finger on it. He'll start from 20th. Fabian Coulthard on the move in 2012. We've documented Murph. There's Dean Fiore, West Track Racing, and Jonathan Webb, who qualified 21st but had a penalty hanging over from yesterday after passing under yellow flags. Andrew Jones is filling in for the injured Jason Bright, and Warren Luff to bring up the rear of the grid for Gulf Western Oil Racing.
On board there with James Moffat in 10th position. Did a good job in the last part of qualifying. And with Steve Johnson, his teammate, in 17th. Well, might be a little bit lower than that, but he's a long way back. There's Paul Dumbrell, who has been very strong all weekend, and Russell Ingall, who did a good job today, has got into 14th position. Steve Johnson, sorry, is on 18th. James Courtney, who was really good, it was one of his best drives yesterday in the rain, is also a long way down. He's in 12th position behind Carl Reindler. Will Davison, who's been getting better and better in the Trading Post Falcon for qualifying on the soft tyre. His teammate Mark Winterbottom in the Orcon Steel FPR Falcon on the front row of the grid alongside the current series leader. Lee Holdsworth, as we said, the best qualifying performance of the year so far, 3rd position. And he was very good in the last moments of qualifying to stay at the pointy end.
Stop there.
So a very high pressure start, Neil.
That point that you made a moment ago about how you approach turn one's important here. Don't forget, if you do go blazing around this afternoon, you can catch all of the V8 Supercar action of Seven's coverage thanks to Big Pond Sport on your Telstra NextG mobile. And down that left-hand side, if someone botches the start, the temptation is to jump left and sneak down the inside. The problem is, if we saw an overview of the race circuit, it narrows up by a massive amount down into one. It's a real trap.
Run out of road very quickly down at turn one. Green flag at the rear. Here we go. Which means we are ready to rumble. And Whincup will be sweating on this. Winterbottom won't miss an inch. Lee Holdsworth is a little bit fidgety. It's pretty even off at the start. Lowndes hasn't got away well. And look at them all going on the outside. Whincup goes through. Lowndes has dropped a position or 2 by turn 1. Up to turn 2. Some kerfuffle going on at the back, and they've found the sand. That'll be Warren Luff and Steve Owen.
Indeed, Fiore was also wide at turn 1. Good start, Whincup.
Well, what a pressure-filled start that was, and what a great jump it was. It was so even between Whincup and Winterbottom. But Whincup leads the field, and Lowndes drops the position back behind Van Gisbergen.
Your observation about turn 1 was right, Matt. Warren Luff saying that he got a whack in the front wheel from Jason Bargwanna. So we'll keep an eye on whether there's any steering damage in the Gulf Western Oil entry at the back of the pack there.
One of the Jack Daniels cars, they're pretty close together, but one of them went straight through turns 7 and 8. Garth Tander there, tucking in on the inside of Todd Kelly. So one lap around, the order is Whincup, Winterbottom, Holdsworth, Van Gisbergen, Lowndes in 5th, Will Davison, Michael Caruso, Tim Slade, Dumbrell and Moffat make up your 10.
concerned about the flinch from Lee Holdsworth at the start there a moment ago. So if he was right up at the line, a bit of contact there through turn 1. David Reynolds involved in that. If he flinched and moved the car across the line, he might be in strike. He certainly wasn't moving at the light change.
Yeah, he had to think about it just before. There he is. Down the back straight. 270 plus kilometres per hour to arrive at turn 6. One of the best parts of any circuits we've got.
That's an amazing view over the top of the hill there. Commitment required to get in deep at the end of the back straight is really extreme. And mostly crosswind, a little bit of tailwind involved there today as they go over the top of the hill. And what makes it wild is not so much the pace, and we deal with high speeds and high-speed corners in this business. It's the shape of the bumps up there and the way in which it pitches and rolls the car. So it's rocking from nose to tail and rocking side to side as it crosses those bumps. Lowndes looking. He's 5th. Fastest man on the racetrack at the moment is Jamie Whincup.
Well, Lowndes was, he only dropped a spot, but he was the biggest loser off the start. He left a gaping hole between himself and those in front of him, and Van Gisbergen yesterday didn't wait. He pounced straight away. It's great reaction time for the young Kiwi, especially off the starts. So the first 3 are just tucked away a little bit ahead of the Ford of Shane Van Gisbergen.
Dave Stewart just assuring Shane Van Gisbergen, this man on screen in the blue SP Tools car, is his engineer on the radio saying, don't worry mate, the tyre pressures will come up in a moment and you'll be back in this. So it takes a while for temperatures and pressures to normalise in the cars. Everybody's got their own theory about how to run their cold starting pressures in their tyres. But he's under big pressure at the moment. He can't flinch. There's Dumbrell up the inside of Slade. He's 8th and 9th.
Yes, I reckon by the start that Holdsworth had settled himself back down, so there shouldn't be any jump there. There's, on the left-hand side of our screen, there's a big gap between Winterbottom and back to Lowndes, and look at them all sneak up on the inside. Will Davison was unlucky not to get that position as well, because he went with Van Gisbergen, and there you go, a little squeeze from Bardwana to Luff.
There's a lot of engineer to driver counselling going on at the moment, and they're reminding them they've got a long way to go on tyres today, because it's easy to do Q laps, qualifying laps in the early part of this race, really squeezing, going hard. The problem is you'll pay a very big price in rear tyre wear in particular if you're not careful.
The 8th boss, Tony Cochran, sharing a joke with Roland Dane in Team Vodafone. So Whincup's done a 110.62.
Oh,
and
Gisbergen.
Yeah.
He only just got the direction change done then. The thing actually lurched longer as he went through the left-hander and covered more ground to the right. Didn't actually connect up, and that made the little kink in the right part there, which is turn 7, quite difficult to negotiate.
And Lowndes is giving him a real hurry along here. Dumbrell is continuing this charge. He's now got Michael Caruso in his sight, so Dumbrell had to do all that hard work in the first 3 laps to get back to his own starting position. As they come past, I'll tell you who's who in the zoo. Whincup first, Winterbottom there second, Lee Holdsworth. There's Shane Van Gisbergen. Tucked in behind him is Lowndes, Will Davison, Caruso, Dumbrell and Slade. James Moffat rounding up our top 10.
Tander getting Rick Kelly there, so that's for position 13. Oh, more trouble here with James Moffat. Getting crossed up between 2 and 3, and this is Courtney up the inside, 2 wheels, a little bit of touch on the exit of 4. James will be side by side in the run to the top of the hill. They're both giving as good as they get, and it's on again. Nearly out of road on the left-hand side as they grab top gear briefly. Carl Reindler trying to find a spot there. There's only an inch in the middle.
Someone's going to have to give, and Moffat will go through. So Courtney holds the line for Reindler.
That was a good bit of driving from Carl Reindler. He snuck himself in there as deep as Dad looks on. Alan Moffat there in top left of screen, watching his son in the car 18 Jim Beam Falcon. And Courtney almost down the inside. I'll give him a little bump here and push him.
Man, that was wild over the top of the hill, because when there's someone so close under the rear of your car, disturbs the car aerodynamically. So they get loose and they basically wobble all over the place. And so wherever you were in that group of 3 or 4 cars over the top of the hill, then I can promise you it wasn't a pleasant ride.
And the slightest touch up there can mean disaster. Just think of Will Davison and Michael Caruso last year at the very same spot. One of the worst we've seen into the fence. So James Courtney continues to try and tap away.
Have a look at those fastest laps. There's about 3 of them that were in a row there for Whincup.
So James has got a bit of a queue going here, James Moffat. Look at the consistency for Whincup. That's extraordinary, and that's been a real hallmark. We've talked about the way in which they look after their tyres, the Team Vodafone Mobiles. But James Moffat here in 10th, and he's doing his level best. It looks like he's just got a little lack of pace relative to those around, and whenever he's got a cork in the bottle, it becomes a problem. So he's off the road. Outbraked himself, couldn't stop it. That's because he was trying to drive the car out of rhythm. It just wasn't capable of producing that speed for him. There's his teammate rounding him up now. That'll release Courtney. Courtney now 10th.
And Reindler and co. They were all waiting.
It's very easy with the unweighted front wheel on the braking area down into Dandenong Road at turn 9 to not be able to stop it. 0.7 of a second is the official margin between Whincup and Winterbottom.
The pace at the front is 11 dead. Mate, how's the balance?
Having a good day, Dave. I was out of traffic. Got under steer behind traffic, which is normal.
Back at Sandown where Jamie Whincup is leading the race, but he's got Mark Winterbottom going with him. Lee Holdsworth is a couple of seconds back. And then an enthralling battle. Shane Van Gisbergen under maximum pressure from Craig Lowndes, who's looking every which way to try and get around them. And you were riding just then with the trading post Falcon of Will Davison. So this is positions 4, 5 and 6.
A lot of drivers currently in consultation with engineers at the moment about what they'll change at their first stop, which for some won't be very far away. Very few of the drivers are contemplating leaving them alone. Most of them are going to have a little fiddle.
There's our top two sticking together. Holdsworth on his own in third.
The consensus across most that I've heard is they want more turn in their car. This is Lowndes again looking. It's an awkward spot for him. He's getting a lot of hot air in the front of that car. Hurts the brakes, hurts the engine.
And Lowndes has got better speed than Van Gisbergen. He just can't get clear. So there's a couple of great battles. This is a fantastic battle that we're seeing here with Van Gisbergen, Lowndes, Davison and Dumbrell but the battle at the front also with Whincup and Winterbottom is very tight, only 0.7 of a second. So Will Davison's complaining about Lowndes holding him up, but the problem is Lowndes is being held up too. And then look at this string of cars all the way through.
It's the battle for 20th, basically. It's amazing.
D'Alberto sort of starting it.
Yeah, 16th. And then there's Murphy. He's 19th. But it's a very good point because these guys will be racing like it's the World Championship there at the moment. There's nothing between them. It's a big group.
Yeah.
Coulthard down the inside and displacing David Reynolds.
That was for 20th spot.
When you're in the traffic like that, you use more of everything. Hurts your brakes and you buzz up the rear tyres because you're hustling the car, hurrying the car, trying to get past the guy in front. Whereas if you're Whincup and Winterbottom at the moment, you stroll around at better lap speed, but actually use less of the car, believe it or not.
Lowndes has found himself in this position quite a bit. We'll just watch this for Davison looking out the back to the Bottle entry of Paul Dumbrell, because we know that Dumbrell is going to be aggressive. He's already passed a few cars in the opening 10 laps. He's only made up one spot. Went back a bit on the first lap. It's Jason Bright. A streak of 148 event starts broken.
Sanders asked for lower incoming front tyre pressures. Jason Bright, Brad Jones down at Team BOC. Remember that Andrew Jones is standing in for Jason Bright at the moment. He's 25th in the field.
So as Neil said, they're all talking about tyre pressures. They're all talking about car changes. And remember, these conditions are the only time this weekend that they've run in cooler conditions with the wind direction coming from the south.
Lowndes is in. He's the first to blink. He's being held up to the extent that they want to change strategy.
Water brake. I need you to get your foot on the clutch and the brake as well, please. Clutch and brake. Nice set in the box. We've got a nice lead in. Let's take advantage of it.
And they'll want clear air. Remember him saw it doing it in Tassie? They'll be searching for clear air off the back of this stop. If they do the stop well, and he gets a good...
Well done.
He gets a good clean run, then he's half a chance to jump over Van Gisbergen. So he'll go like a cut cat now as he tries to put together the next couple of laps, and this will be how they try and jump Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah, we did talk about that at the head of the show. That was predetermined. So what he's going to do now, he's on that what we call the reverse window strategy. That's the compromise strategy, unfortunately. He was behind Whincup. They've made the call. They're going to do that. And what they avoid is any chance of double stacking for the rest of the race. That's good news.
It's very important to unlock those two cars from what we've seen many times during the year, which hasn't been a strategic blunder. It's just been often triggered by safety cars. So manoeuvre here because Dumbrell's gone up the inside of Will Davison. This is for position 5. And Will's been talking about losing his rear tyres.
He held it too for a split second there. You would have thought that Will was going to get that spot back, but Dumbrell's just got more fight in him at the moment. Third last race of his full-time career.
Other thing about Lowndes departing the scene from the battle with Shane, it also helps Shane's cause as well, because he's not as distracted by the other car around him, so he'll be able to also knuckle down and try and put together a string of clean laps. It'll be a really good battle to see how he pops out relative to Lowndes. Look at this.
This fight for 20th. This fight for 20th is on. Moffat, Coulthard, Alex Davison, Davey Reynolds, Andrew Jones, Steve Owen.
Well, it's 18th to 28th.
And it would be wild. You would not want to be in the middle of all that.
They're all on a tow rope, aren't they?
I think there's some of the guys in there. Fabian's on the move out of Walkinshaw Racing. Alex Davison trying to lock down a gig next year. David Reynolds, future uncertain. Andrew Jones filling in for Jason Bright. And there's all sorts of question marks at that spot of the field now. Alex just gave Fabian a little rub there on the approach to the final turn. And Reynolds comes in. So there's one out of that picture. And look at Fabian now covering Alex Davison. Look at him, right over to the left-hand side. Alex is going to run out of room very quickly. He'll find out.
I reckon Davey just said, like, oh, I've got to get out of here. This is bad.
Well, he's right. I don't reckon it's finished yet. through turn 3 onto turn 4, the back straight. But what a difference a day makes. I mean, yesterday they were coming in there sideways, touch and feel. Greg Murphy basically lost his horizon on the way through, and first thing he knew, he was into the wall.
This is also helping the battle for third place for Mark Winterbottom at the moment in this championship. He's 2 spots up on Shane Van Gisbergen. We've sort of got 2 distinct little battles going for this championship at the moment. One is between the 2 teammates from Team Vodafone, first and second, and then there's a group of 3 drivers involved in the battle for third, involving Mark Winterbottom, Shane Van Gisbergen and Garth Tander.
So the hot pressures that the guys talk about for the tyre, sometimes they talk about reducing the pressures of the incoming set because maybe they use the rear tyre too hard or they don't come in fast enough. The hot tyre pressure is around 30 pounds and the cold tyre pressure on the loaded side rear tyre, so the right-hand rear tyre, would be down around 18 or 19 pounds at the start of the race. So when you do go back out, so when Craig Lowndes, for instance, has put that cold set on and they're back more like 20 pounds, there's a big difference in the way the car moves around until those pressures normalise up to the target pressure of about 30.
So we're on board here at the moment with Will Davison, Trading Post Racing, but look at Paul Dumbrell. I think he's actually got up the inside now of Van Gisbergen. He's actually made the move. We'll ride with Will. Picks up the throttle here. Also prepare yourself to watch the SP Tools car dart to the right because they are going to pit him. Watch this.
Well done.
A Whincup and Winterbottom in as well. That means Lee Holdsworth is the leader of the race.
Nothing going on here, mate. We should be all clear to go. Just waiting on the fuel. Go.
So we predicted this.
Good to go, 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 go, yes.
Oh! No, there's contact. There's been contact.
Green tyres. Eyes forward.
There could be some drama attached with all that. So we predicted that if Whincup comes in, Winterbottom will come with him. And that's exactly what's happened. They'll be trying to take FPR, try to take them into the Vodafone strategy by using the tyre for longer. Here's the bump. This will be on board. Now watch the steering correction. There'll be a bang, there's a bang. So contact to get out into the fast lane. Bang. Oh, and Van Gisbergen off the road at turn 1.
Cold tyres.
And Courtney down the inside.
It's losing
got something running out
a bit of water, it looks like, from the back of that car of James Courtney.
So I think you'll find also Van Gisbergen was in trouble compared to Lowndes, and this is massive brake lock-up for Van Gisbergen, and off the road he goes.
So he's just gone through. Remember, he's just come out of pit lane. And now he's dropped down a handful of positions as a result of that. Courtney goes past him. Good driving by James Courtney that time around, but not the second time around. He's the first to scoop up the mud there at turn 3. So your effective race leader is right there.
But look how much Lowndes has gained.
Well, that's right. That puts Lowndes into effective 3rd spot. So by jumping out early, it's paid dividends, and it looks even better now that Van Gisbergen has slid back a couple, courtesy of a mistake down at turn 1 on the rejoin. Cold tyres. He's the victim. Lee Holdsworth is the race leader yet to pit.
Silver button off. You're right, full away. Nice work. They're not.
Waiting on fuel. All clear, mate, all good. Looks like Willard was catching some traffic. This is our chance to get maybe
Tim Slade exits pit lane. Lee Holdsworth has also been through there in the break. Paul Dumbrell is our race leader. The first of those to have gone through pit lane will be Jamie Whincup. So he's your effective race leader. There's Courtney and Van Gisbergen. Positions 13 and 14 on the track. But really, positions about 7 and 8. So interesting phase of this race. Costly mistake for Shane Van Gisbergen. And here's Rick Kelly. He's done that a couple of times this weekend.
Gee, they hit that bump hard there, don't they, when they fly off, and then contact Tony D'Alberto on the rear. David Reynolds buying into the Repco car as well.
Gartander.
Clear to go in a drop. Away you go. Okay, mate.
He was lurking back into the top 10.
We went up 4 turns to the rear also and made a front turn. So maybe don't touch the rear bar at this stage.
Hey, very dramatic, that contact between Mark Winterbottom and Jamie Whincup. I came down here and asked Chris O'Toole, the team manager down at FPR, who releases the car, and for his view on that contact, whether he thought they were a little bit pushed the boundaries with Whincup's car. They said, no, they didn't really feel Mark was far enough, and they have relaxed that rule a little, he said. You know, there can be a little bit of push and shove, nothing too bad.
That's right. It wasn't that long ago when there was any contact at all. It was just an automatic dismissal, effectively. You had to do a pit lane drive-through penalty, but it's been eased off because there is going to be panel rubbing from time to time.
All right, mate, this guy's on pressure tyres. You need to be careful. Try and stay ahead, please. Pull up at the end of this lap.
Yeah, they're going to have to remove Paul Dumbrell out of this situation. They will do so at the end of this lap, because he's got pressure coming from all sides. Oh, doesn't want any more mistakes. Doesn't want to nudge.
Fabian with extra grip, trying every which way to lose it. Use it, in fact, but he couldn't lose a position is what I was trying to spit out, because Reindler's up the inside here as well. He looks racy today.
He does, doesn't he? It's a good move early.
Holdsworth's done the fastest lap of the race, 1:10.4. So Dumbrell will peel off. And all that little push and shove behind him's given him a chance to relax now. So as he prepares to come in for his stop, he's got a chance to think about it with a couple of extra car lengths over these two guys.
Well, less than a minute ago, he had Fabian Coulthard giving him a push and a shove and a look everywhere. But Coulthard engaged war with Carl Reindler, and that, like you say, released Dumbrell from a bit of pressure. He'll spear off here. just.
Gee, that was close.
Hey, now what's really bizarre here, I want to show you, look behind me here. Lucky 7 pit crew and Bottolo pit crew, they're two competing teams changing tyres on the same car. Now why this is, single car teams can have 8 performance guys in a car, a dual car team can have 7 performance guys for each car. What these teams have worked out, although they're competitors, is that they can select better guys from a combination of 2 teams. So these people you see here working together, practice together, and don't really care about whose car or the colour of the car. They just want to do a good job. Now think about the quirkiness of that, or the context of that, if that was in a football game. Really quite bizarre.
It's an extraordinary situation, isn't it? It's not often you see a love-in anywhere up and down pit lane.
Not in this business. And here it is, it's manifesting itself now. The 2 organisations that run these cars are Ford Performance Racing and Stone Brothers Racing, and it's a fierce competition on the racetrack. But there's a level of cooperation back there in the bunker.
I like to see it because it's 2, you know, genuinely healthy teams with factory Ford backing, and they've worked together to be able to service Tim Slade and Paul Dumbrell's cars. I like the cooperation though. I think it looks great, but it's also effective for the 2 teams.
Now Will Davison's come in as well. Oh, we've got a bit of debris there on the exit of turn 4. So with Will in, basically that leaves Jamie Whincup in the lead of the race. Here he is. He's been complaining about the rears on the car.
Go. 4 cold green tyres, 4 cold green tyres.
The driver's now just being warned about that plastic or whatever it is down the back straight. So Trading Post Racing, Will Davison exiting the lane. This is Andrew Jones, and he's the last of the stoppers. So these guys have got as far as lap 24. And the safety car, which I suspected as soon as I saw the rubbish on the road, is likely to grab the leader here. It hasn't actually been deployed as yet. Now it has.
The flags are waving, so the end of all that as Andrew Jones comes out. There's the debris.
Safety car moving on to the track, awaiting 88 leader.
88 is the leader. Jamie Whincup, Mark Winterbottom second, so Craig Lowndes third. The first to stop. He will have to be stationary longer at his next stop to get more fuel.
Lowndes came in on lap 11 and his teammate came in on lap 16. 5 laps difference in their strategy.
This is the argy-bargy between Carl Reindler and Fabian Coulthard. And that's where the debris came from.
Well, it counts for some of it, but there's actually been a little bit more deposited here as well.
Great shot.
Okay, thanks,
Van Giz has come back into the pits as well.
Yeah, I struggle. But, yeah, car's good in clean air. As well.
So I wonder whether he flat spotted tyres or had another issue there. So we'll get on top of that. Jamie Whincup is our leader.
Bridge is done and fuel double. Just get back out there. Go, mate. Off you go. Off you go. Okay, you're going to be entering into the back markers here. All right, track clear, track clear. Safety car, just continue 60 kilometres an hour while we clean up this mess. Safety car is going up the back straight, so, just going over the top of the hill now. I think it's just debris on track, mate. I'll try and find out for you.
So he knows the car behind him is going to be nowhere.
Yeah, sorry, I got caught up in all that flat traffic. And the dive bomb was probably deep with it. I got all over that back to me. Yeah, mate. You've got Courtney behind you. Hit it on lap 15, mate. Will obviously hit it on lap after you. Slade,
He was 3 laps earlier this year. Everybody's much earlier. Lowndes, he did it on lap 11, so he's going to be struggling. And we've got a lot of fuel in here too, so he's getting...
And what kind of lap are you on now?
Okay, safety K, lift your speed, 80 kilometres an hour, 80. Alright mate, so guys on similar strategy to us, obviously Will, got GT who's behind Courtney. Nobody else has really hit it that late, so we're in quite a good spot. You've got to work together as Will. But we need to get up as far as we can, mate.
How many laps? Yeah, contemplating going on, supposed to be 10.
Petter's safety car has control of the field. Headed up by Jamie Whincup. Mark Beretta.
Wright finds himself here in the garage with a cracked rib from Simmons Plains. Jace, how's it feeling?
Oh, it's not too bad. I mean, it was a bit of a would have been too much on it for this weekend to run, but hopefully it'll be right for Homebush. It's going to be a good race, though. I think we're in for a pretty exciting end now with a lot of guys stopping pretty early there.
Now, I know you've had some treatment during the week. Are you 50-50, do you think, for Sydney or better?
I'd like to think I'm, at least 80 or 90, but I really don't think I'll know until I sort of get there and do a couple of laps in the first practice session, because the rib is tender if I push on it, but I did more damage to all the muscles in my stomach trying to sort of support myself, and that's where I've had most of the pain all week. So, I mean, the rib was cracked or fractured since Phillip Island and through Bathurst and everything, and while I was able to hold myself off it wasn't a problem. So hopefully we can get the rib in good enough condition and the stomach good enough condition that I can actually sort of get to Sydney and compete.
What's it like sitting back watching this race?
It's hard work, I'll give you the tip. But I think the BJR cars will be coming through pretty strong at the end there. But a lot of guys stopped pretty early, so it's going to be a pretty exciting end, I reckon.
All right, we're under restart. Right, enjoy the rest of the day. We'll try not to make you laugh.
Cheers, mate. That's good.
First championship round he's missed since Bathurst in the year 2000, but we're back racing. Whincup leads them through. Winterbottom. Then Lowndes and Holdsworth, Caruso, Slade, and contact between James Courtney and Paul Dumbrell. Both the Toll Holden Racing Team cars were aggressive on that restart. They were looking for space. They ended up finding trouble.
Looks like it's breaking something in the top arm or something. Just come in, get this lap, please. Get this lap.
Something, he's taken a whack just prior to the restart, Paul Dumbrell. That was James Small. He was one of the guys with fresh rubber, having stopped most recently, that we were looking to.
Easy, mate, easy down into Sandy Road.
He's have to be super careful there now. Pit lane drive-through penalty for car number 30, Warren Love, for a pit stop infringement. Gulf Western Oil's entry. So Dumbrell in. Looks like something's broken in the front left suspension in that car, and it needs attention.
Garth Tander was a bit cheeky with his teammate James Courtney out of turn 1 into turn 2. Basically out-braked him and turned across in front and got the job done there without any contact between the two HRT cars. And there's D'Alberto, who just drives across and Dodgem cars the right-hand side of Greg Murphy in the middle of the main straight. So Murphy won't like that. And there he is, back down onto the left-hand side, inside, running into turn 1.
Tony D'Alberto and James Moffat dropping a bunch of spots at the completion of that lap. Here's Dumbrell.
Here's the left-hand front wheel, top of the wheel's hanging out. It's damaged a top A-arm or a suspension arm of some description.
Yeah, you're right, Scafey. Top arm. Yep, pulled out, see where it bolts in. You probably can't see it. Bolts into a body. There's a fixed point in the shell in here where it must bolt. There's a little radius. You're allowed to bolt it within there. It's broken away in there. You can see there's no bolt up there. If I get my finger right in there.
Get your finger
no,
in there.
I'm not going to get my finger.
Just touch it.
And to expand just on Shane Van Gisbergen coming through the pit lane there for a second time. He thought it was early enough in the race. He wasn't happy with the car. He wanted to get it in, make a change, get on another set of tyres and get it back out again. He just feels it's early enough in the day. He didn't think he could go on with what he had.
His tyre degradation's been pretty significant. 0.09, nearly a tenth of a second a lap. It's been one of the worst of the front runners. Fastest lap of the race, Jamie Whincup a moment ago, 1:10.4. Slade puts a move on Caruso for 5th. And Will Davison tries to get up the inside, but Michael wouldn't have a bar of that one, covered him down into 3.
He's going to go searching again, Will Davison. The exit of 4, he'll pull up alongside him on this back straight. This is always hold your breath stuff on the approach to turn 6.
So there'll be more to the Paul Dumbrell story too, and there is some damage on James Courtney's car that Race Control is looking at as well. Try and figure out how all that unravelled.
No problems for Will that time around, cleanly past Caruso.
It's an important 1.5 second gap between Whincup and Winterbottom at the moment, but Mark Winterbottom's actually starting to get fairly significant harrying from Craig Lowndes at the moment, so that'll just be making him look a bit rearward. Look at that patch on the road there. We've been talking all weekend about the variations in surfaces on this racetrack. There's been little repairs done here and there and some resurfacing. Of course, yesterday you could actually see the way in which the water sat on the road. It shines in some places. It gets a real skating rink look about it in places. But it's got great character. Actually, the lumps and bumps for me are all part of the character of this racetrack, Scafie.
I totally agree. And at the top of the hill here, there's a great bump in the braking area right there. You can just see the fronts of the cars dive down, and at maximum attack at 275 kilometres an hour to brake the car hard for the end of the back straight means that you've really got to wash about 100k off the car, so 185k mid-corner speed. And when you do that, it upsets the car, slides the car towards the apex. One of the best car control corners in Australian motorsport.
And you've got to wriggle your way down the hill essentially with a heap of direction changes and slow the car, apply the brake, get it down to just a little under 80 kilometres an hour for the left-hander. Sounds easy, not so easy to do.
On board with Russell Ingall, right behind his good mate James Courtney. There won't be too much good mate going on in this little battle because Russell moving to the same team as Courtney for next year, and he'll be trying as hard as he possibly can to round James up roughly halfway in this race. 200k race, 65 laps.
All 3 of these guys have had a good start to this race, or a good first half of this race. Tander, Courtney and Ingall were both outside the top 10 in qualifying, both inside it right now.
That's the change of direction that Neil was talking about down the hill. So that corner used to be called Marlborough Country. Some of the biggest accidents we've ever seen in Australian motorsport at that fast left-hander. And then as you come down the hill, you've got to go through that little change of direction to slow for Dandenong Road. There's all those change of surfaces. There's your leader, Jamie Whincup, in front of Winterbottom. And Craig Lowndes hunting him down. This is an intriguing battle between Ford Performance Racing and 888 Racing.
Quite a few mid-pack and further back charges going on right now. Shane van Gisbergen in particular is trying to pick his way back through the field after stopping twice. Looking at Michael Caruso, who's going the other way. Down to 11th, Stephen Johnson behind him, then David Reynolds, Greg Murphy, Todd Kelly, and Alex Davison just peeks out there on the left-hand side of the circuit down the main straight. Jamie Whincup's lead is 3.94.1 seconds now over Mark Winterbottom.
And Garth Tander just reported that he might have a flat tyre, so he's complaining about his car. Some contact
with pulled umbrella.
Maybe, yeah. So that could be a little bit of the story from before. Whincup has got away from Winterbottom. Lowndes still right up on the back of Winterbottom. Holdsworth has made ground. Will Davison has also made ground. He shapes up as someone to watch later in this race because he stops so late. He will have the shortest field of the front guys. And down through the paddock goes Todd Kelly. And up the inside, Jonathan Webb.
Well, he was so wide there, Scafie, and Alex Davison wasn't going to give him an inch. He ended up out on the marbles, which are growing and growing. And you've talked about it. You've got to wash 100 Ks off on entry into that turn. He was never going to stick on the tarmac. It's good control from Todd.
5 laps to go in this stint. Doing an awesome job. We'll tune it up at the next stop.
So Brendan Hogan talking to Todd Kelly. Jack Daniels racing. Van Gisbergen, remember, different strategy completely. Grabbed another set of tyres when the safety car was deployed on lap 24. So he's inching his way up and in a completely different phase of the race to everybody else. So jumps a spot in the process. Just before we went to that break, and we're on board with Russell Ingall. You may have seen the shift lights coming on that car in top gear with the particular gearing that the cars use at this racetrack, and the little benefit of a bit of tailwind up there. They're out of breath in top gear up there. It's exactly 273 kilometres an hour, and it was leaping onto the limiter up there.
That's always a good sign, isn't it, when because you actually look for the limiter before you put your foot on the brake.
And they won't have experienced that in the early part of the weekend because on Friday when it was dry, there was a huge headwind up there. So as the load comes off for fuel in these cars, they get lighter, and there's a little bit more rubber goes down and the breeze picks up. You think to yourself, gee, I've done a good job of getting onto the back straight, and I'm braking later than ever up here.
It's quite an interesting battle. You mentioned that Russell Ingall's going to go and join James Courtney at Walkinshaw Racing next year. You've got 3 champions here. The current champion in James Courtney will hand over the #1 in a matter of a couple of weeks. Russell Ingall, of course, won the championship in 05 and Rick Kelly in 2006. Whoa, whoa, wild again, really wild. Whoa, Murphy went around, Caruso went in the air.
Oh, and D'Alberto has speared into the back of Murphy late.
Did he walk under a ladder?
He had plenty of room then. I mean,
time to see it.
A lot of time to see the Murphy car. And it's
damage at the rear for Murphy. That's where the punch came from.
So it was a pretty big dive with Greg Murphy into turn 2, and he rotated trying to get himself inboard of the curve as far as he could. So he basically spun trying to overtake, and then as he spun the car back around and proceeded to drive up through turn 3 to turn 4, he was then attacked. This is he and Caruso. Now this is turn 1. And then up to here, he's up the inside, but he locks the rears and then tries to get out of it. Caruso down through the Dukes of Hazzard area. He spins around, drives it back out onto the black stuff, and watch this. Watch this.
Crunch.
Bang! Heaps of time, no need for that one.
You watch the air time that Michael Caruso gets here. Rodeo style. Watch this. Yeehaw!
It's amazing how many cars have been through there, but I'm a bit bewildered as to why D'Alberto managed to make contact on the other side of this. Not like he didn't have plenty of warning.
Anyway, so great battle with Whincup, Winterbottom, Lowndes, Holdsworth, Will Davison. Remember, Lowndes come in very early. He'll have to stop for longer. And they've all got to get to this critical lap number of 38. And Whincup, the strategy will be, so there's Will Davison coming up on the back of Holdsworth. This is a very good battle for 4th position. But remember, the strategy for Whincup will be take FPR down the inside. Great pass Will Davison escorts Lee Holdsworth a little wide and has got the move done with no contact. Great job.
So what we're seeing here now is the effects of tyre degradation. So as the tyres are tapering in their behaviour at the end of their life, it's those that have looked after them, treated them well early on, that make the big difference. Holdsworth came in on lap 18. Remember, Will Davison, he's in a fresher position rubber-wise because he came in on lap 23. That's the reason why he looks so strong now.
5 laps of difference makes a really big difference.
15 kilometres doesn't sound like much in the road car business. It does in the racing car business.
Well, especially under the conditions today. Hotter day.
So Whincup at the moment, clearly with margin. 6.7 seconds of it over Winterbottom, so he's got a great car and he's using it well. I thought Lowndes might have been able to go harder after Winterbottom, but that hasn't happened. Incidentally, Delberto's actually come into the pit, been in and out, so that little battle that we were predicting between Winterbottom and Lowndes hasn't happened. Here's Lee Holdsworth. That's Richard Holway, his engineer, on the radio. And 5th at the moment, and he's counting him in to get off this tyre set, which I'm sure he'd be happy to do. He's on the move next year. Saw his stats up there. He's a young guy who feels that though Gary Rogers has been a very important part of his career and given him a great start, given him success, he thinks it's time for a freshen up for all parties. He's looking forward, packing boxes at the moment, and looking forward to heading north and change of scenery for him in 2012 for the next 3 years.
Slade's looking quite racy in behind Lee Holdsworth and the team that he's moving to.
Frosty's in this lap.
So expect Mark Winterbottom to peel off.
This has got that feel about it.
A troublesome feel. You're riding with Winterbottom now. Lowndes follows him in.
Bang! Whoa, how close was that?
Well, you can make all that ground when you're the guy in the shadow. The radar can't see you there. You ducked. There's no need to.
I thought we were going to give that mower a bit of a new tweak.
It's hard for the radar to see you when you're in somebody else's boot.
All looks like one car. So Winterbottom will make ground on Lowndes because it's a shorter stop versus Lowndes.
The car was almost blue at one end and orange at the other.
This is the fuel game.
So they had to stand still longer for Craig Mipp. They pitted him early.
And the one to watch will be Will Davison, who has the shortest fill in this. So he may actually jump up. He may even be in front of Winterbottom after this next stop. So interesting to see what happens now in terms of the pit stop strategy. Have a look at this. This is Lowndes. Wheels locked. So close.
Making the people in our audio department redundant there, Mark. Doing your own sounds.
Sound effects, King.
We're going to go 2 more laps here. We're going to go 2 more laps here. We'll give up the track position, but we'll get better tyres later.
And that's an important part of the story. Grant McPherson explaining to Will Davison, the Trading Post car, exactly what they're going to do, and you're riding with them. So what they're looking for is great tyre position later in the race. Lee Holdsworth is in from 8th.
Hey, Neil, you're talking a lot about tyre degradation. I'm going to try and grab one of these tyres off Lee Holdsworth's car here without getting hit if I go out on the pit lane. First of all, the temperature of the tyre, I can tell you, looking at my hot gun, it's about 45 degrees centigrade on the pit lane. Now, if I look at this, we've got about 95 degrees on the tyre. Now, when you look at one of these tyres, they don't actually wear out as such. Just see if we can follow this tyre in here, tyre pursuit. They've got these little tread depth indicators on here. So if you look there, there's one there. You see that little dot there, Dave? So it's actually not worn very much at all, but the thing just gets so stinking hot, it fails to grip the road anymore. Now, there's 2 types of tyre degradation. There's one you get from lateral load, and Sandown, I would have thought this would be tough on a tyre. Here it is, and it's longitudinal load. So it's the constant driving of the car off slow corners, and then the constant braking back down to those slow corners. So you can get it 2 ways.
So, Lucko, it's a good point because although the lateral load is not as high at this circuit as it would be at, say, a place like Phillip Island, the acceleration onto both big long straights, the car's wheel spin and generate the tyre temperature, but also effectively wear themselves out. So the wear rate here is quite high because of the wheel spin.
They're getting set at Team Vodafone to bring in Jamie Whincup.
We saw a moment for James Courtney as well when he locked up in the run down to turn 1. You'll be hoping that hasn't put a mark on that inside front tyre.
Look how much curb they use there on that right-hander. It's
very, very good over the curb, so aren't they? Yeah. It's one of the reasons why they're strong here at the moment.
That was maximum braking threshold on the way into the pit lane. Listen to the communication here. This is great.
Give her a decent drink of juice. Tweak that rear roll centre again. So I'm going to need an input on the clutch and the brake for me. Brake and clutch.
Now, boys, we talked about this tyre degradation associated heat. Now, Jamie Whincup's come in. I'm going to grab the same left-hand rear tyre that we just looked at on Holdsworth's car. Have a look on there. Now, I can tell you, there you are, 85 degrees centigrade. So, again, Jamie Whincup, we said Vodafone have the best tyre degradation in the pit lane. That's why. There's 10 degrees less temperature in the tyre. That means better tyre wear, better tyre grip, faster lap times.
Yeah, well done, Larko. That's the difference. That's the way they look after the tyre. That's the way they have consistent lap speed. And there's the gap between Jamie Whincup and Mark Winterbottom. There's Craig Lowndes in behind. And there's Lee Holdsworth in behind that. But the interesting part of this will be, where does Will Davison, on an alternate strategy, where does he fit in, and where does Van Gisbergen fit in? They're the two ones that are on the alternate strategy, and we'll have, based on... And here he is, we'll soon know.
And he's called for more front. He needs more front, so he wants the car to turn better.
If this is a good stop, he should jump Winterbottom. Good communication.
That's Chris O'Toole talking about in front of the car.
Go.
Don't hold him up.
And he will. He should jump them because the leading pack are now coming around the final turn. So there goes Whincup.
It'll be line ball with his teammate.
It's only just going to slot in, and he does so.
Move it over.
Oh, Winterbottom carries the pace up the front straight.
But now Will's got the benefit of fresh tyres. They're cold for the first couple of laps, and then it'll be game on between these guys. This will be a good battle.
I would have driven straight to the left-hand side of the road then.
You're a hard man.
No, but it needed to be done. Might have been able to stay on the inside. So, and here's Lowndes using every skerrick of road on the way out of turn 4 for this big run up the hill. It doesn't really show. We don't do justice to how much uphill this back straight is. And as you go over the top of the rise to this amazingly fast left-hand corner, down the hill to Dandenong Road. This point here, just to your left, is Dandenong Road, the Princess Highway, driving out of town, southeast of Melbourne CBD.
So Tander and Stephen Johnson, who were at the head of the field, have now come in. That leaves Carl Reindler in command from Jason Bargwanna, Steve Owen, Andrew Jones. So there's 4 drivers that are yet to take this second stop, and then the first in the queue is obviously this man in car number 88, and that's Jamie Whincup. There are the margin, you can see them back to Winterbottom. Gap again back to Will Davison, whose tyres will be coming up nicely, and then Craig Lowndes, who's threatening and only just a couple of car lengths behind. It's a handy margin for Whincup.
Your tyres are 4 laps newer than round 6 from. Yeah.
Happy there, mate? Saw that, copy. Eyes forward.
The action continues at Sandown, the Norton 360 Sandown Challenge. The leaders are tackling Andrew Jones in the Team BOC car. And as Jamie Whincup went by, there was actually a little rub between them 1 lap earlier at this very spot on the racetrack. Here he is down the inside, Jamie Whincup. Watch this. And Andrew left room, but then he turned and made light contact with the right rear. Now, the safety car has also been deployed. Here is again from Jamie's viewpoint. Watch again, down the inside. And then when he pops out the other side, Jamie does the, what are you doing to me, man?
Watch that. Watch the hand signal. Watch the hand signal here. Yeah, that's it. What are you doing?
What's all that about? Fastest man on the racetrack is Garth Tander. There's a bit of junk on the road down there at the moment. This will give the tyres a nice breather. Mark Dutton, engineer, said eyes forward, relax. Look at those. That's more than Movember. What is that?
Bring it turn 12 to bring turn 12.
Maintaining 60
I think it's
kilometres
dead.
an hour.
Steve Owen's actually in control of the race at the moment with a margin of 1.8 seconds, but he hasn't taken that additional stop. Jamie Whincup's effectively the leader as Owen now peels off.
Okay, safety car leader is 88. It's coming towards you now. 88 coming towards you now. Just hold 60 so we can form the line quickly and get rid of this debris.
Safety car maintaining 60 kilometres an hour.
Go. Blue dial 2, please, mate. Blue dial 2. 18 laps to go. 18 to go.
Copy that, mate. Copy that. Make sure you get it all so we don't have a messy car. Which number was it, mate? Saw that too, mate. Nice work. Currently 18 laps to go, mate. Currently 18 laps to go. 17 when you go past. Expecting a 1 more lap.
Thank you, safety car. Okay, safety car, lift your speed.
They're still under safety car here.
120 down to turn
Probably one more lap thereof. Whincup at the head of the queue. So let's run you through the highlights from the start. Whincup was on pole. Winterbottom got a good start. Lowndes was the one who didn't get away well at all. Shane Van Gisbergen rounded him up. And Lee Holdsworth ended up spending the first part of this race just doing it all by himself in third. James Moffat and Courtney came together at turn 4, and then Moffat carried way too much at the other end. and they went sailing on by. Watch this. Contact between Whincup and Winterbottom on the exit of pit lane. Tull Holden Racing Team cars involved in a lot today. That was Courtney on Dumbrell, and that was the end of Dumbrell's day. It didn't go any further than that. This was a big one. Could have been a huge one. And Murphy thought he escaped without any damage until car 3 arrived on the scene.
And the communication today between Mark Dutton and Jamie Whincup has been very good. There's Dutto, the sort of evolution look. Dutto looks like he's just started walking upright.
Wolverine is another one. You asked what it was, Crompo. It's not Movember, it's half a Gotember. So this will be an interesting run to the end. Everybody can make it. And we've talked about Jamie Whincup's starts. Race starts haven't been great, but his restarts have been brilliant.
Exactly.
There's a big difference.
The whole technique here, this is a hard one to get a good restart on because it's such a slow corner. And look at Winterbottom right up behind him. He's not letting him get away. And same with Will Davison, so was Craig Lowndes. Good job, very even restart.
And that's about the only time on a restart lately that Jamie Whincup hasn't been cut an extra break, because Winterbottom was absolutely convinced he wasn't going to let him go. Look at Courtney, maximum pressure.
Well, he got caught behind Luff, and that's Tander down the inside.
And Tander's got an interesting story because of those that are up near the front end of this race. He's probably got the youngest tyres. He stopped, let me see, on lap 44. So he's in pretty good shape rubber-wise. We'll see whether that serves him well at the end of this little sprint, and that's what it's going to be, big-time sprint to the end.
Stephen Johnson alongside Alex Davison, who's been in the thick of it today. Johnson gives him a little hip and shoulder routine. He faked one at the start of this back straight, 270 kilometres plus side by side.
He hung in there, Alex, wasn't well done. He's vulnerable to Russell, who's down the inside and giving him a little shot. They're all gone. What a mess. Ingle off the road, people with damaged panels.
Well, Ingle sort of started that because he went down the inside and had a dive bomb. But when he gave them a rub, in the end, Steve Johnson got turned around because they ran into the corner too fast. It looked like they did a good job through the fast left-hander at the top of the hill. And Alex Davison controlled the slide on the outside and ended up merging very nicely. But Ingle down the inside of Davison and puts Ingle and Steve Johnson out.
It unravelled pretty quickly. Special mention of Shane Van Gisbergen, who's charged his way up into the top 10. Remember, he did an extra stop. He went right to the rear of the field under our second safety car.
Yeah, and he's a bit like Tander in the sense that he came in on 43, so he's got pretty young rubber as well.
Look at this shot. This is so fast. And look at the way they just monster that curb. And they have to get across the curb. Look at the trajectory of the car and get the car settled to break it for Dandenong Road. That's the left-hand corner that we keep on calling Dandenong Road.
Oh, someone had a big lock-up down the inside there as well, which is a popular trick.
So nothing in it at the front between Whincup, Winterbottom and Will Davison.
It's a great shot. Look at this, 3 wide, the right-hander. Oh, they sorted it out.
Last time Greg Murphy saw car 3, it was running into the end of him at turn 4. So he wouldn't have liked to have seen Tony D'Alberto arrive in that scene. This is Steve Owen. He's got Michael Caruso on his right. He's got Fabian Coulthard having a look on his left. Down to turn 1. Positions 11, 12 and 13. There's more waiting behind them.
And the shot we had at the end of the back straight really underscores just how committed you have to be to get speed out of these cars. That's a complex bit of racetrack there. Look at the traffic congestion here.
Well, it goes back to about 23rd. So Owen's 11th.
And remember, he just pitted as we went to that break. So he came in, grabbed a set of tyres.
There's 13 cars in that freight train.
So he's also on relatively young rubber as well. Jamie's opened up the margin just a little above half a second now to Mark Winterbottom. Jason Bargwanna here, his 16th Jarda Living car. Remember, that car was in pieces at the end of yesterday's race. Here's the gap to the leader.
We'll just try and grab a quick word with Stevie Johnson. I know he's keen to have a look at the damage of the car. Stevie, looked to me like you're very much the innocent party there. Russell pulling an angle move on Alex Davo.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, Larko. It sort of sums up the back half of our season, doesn't it? You know, car was strong and, you know, past Alex and Russell, corner before, dragged Alex up the straight, got in front of him in turn 6 and turned into turn 9 down on the road and just got an almighty bang from the back. So there must have been something happening with Engel and Davison, and whether someone's outbroke himself and fired into the back of me, I don't know, but I guess we'll have to wait to see the replay.
Anyway, mate, 2 weeks' time in Sydney, opportunity to bounce back.
Thanks, mate.
He is right. The back end of this season for DJR hasn't been good. He had a pretty good run mid-season. He qualified second twice in New Zealand and Winton. He was on the podium at Darwin. Things were looking rosy for Stephen Johnson. He had a really good, consistent run of top 10 qualifiers and good, solid results, but lately hasn't gone that way for car 17 or 18. So this time around, the gap 1.4 seconds. Jamie Whincup is certainly not pulling away because Winterbottom is going with him. Davison's there, Lowndes is there, and Garth Tander up to 5th.
So keep an eye on Tander. He's done a 10.7. He's equaling the speed of Whincup at the moment and has made enormous number of positions. So 1 minute 10.7 for Tander in the Toll HRT car. Whincup also a 1:10.7. And 11.1 for Winterbottom, Davison and Lowndes. So Garth's got pace, and Russell Ingall has a pit lane drive-through penalty for the incident that we replayed there a moment ago up at turn 9 when he stuck down the inside of Alex Davison and in turn clobbered Stephen Johnson.
That's the spot down the hill where the guys run straight over that curb, trying to slow the cars from over 200 Ks down into that slow left-hand down in on road corner. At about 80 Ks, just under 80 Ks. So there you go, there's the gaps. Jamie Whincup to Mark Winterbottom. A healthy battle going on there with the teammates. Will Davison right in behind. And there's the championship implications if they finish as they are.
Yeah, that's right. That means it's game on to the Sydney Telstra 500 as we've expected. Mind you, there is still 10 or 11 laps to go here. And the Pepsi Max crew just copped a whack all weekend for Greg Murphy. Back at that leading group, Will Davison certainly looks as though he's got more pace than his FPR stablemate in front of him, Mark Winterbottom.
Andrew Jones, I think, has got a problem with the steering arm. Here he is on screen and he's coming in. Dave Stewart's also urging Shane Van Gisbergen to press on because he's got great pace. Meantime, Russell Ingall has served his drive-through penalty. Big damage for the Pepsi Max crew car of Greg Murphy. Look at the scars down the side of that.
Oh, again.
And this is the reason why Andrew Jones has got the steering damage. So they've come together in the final complex of corners.
And that's the side that was wiped off it yesterday. The right-hand side of it's destroyed again.
10 to go, mate. 10 to go. You're doing a great job.
This is Will Davison back to Craig Lowndes. Have a look at how much force that the front spoiler takes here. Look at that front there, bottoming on the way into turn 1. We've got the Mini Moke version.
Some aero back in the
Fairningham Sheds Commodore.
Question is, where is it? Where's the door gone? Anyone?
No. Anyone? No. Unseen. Last seen, don't know.
Attached.
Meantime, Whincup's just easing this margin. He's got 3/10 up in the first sector on Mark Winterbottom, so he's getting it out now to almost 2 seconds.
Marco didn't slam that door shut, did he, on the grid?
Yeah, he could have. He could have had something to do with it.
Well, guys, always good to see one of our great mates, Jason Richards, back here in the BOC garage. Jace, the boys are putting on a fair show for you today.
Yeah, it's a shame a car's just arrived in the garage, but hey, look, the racing's been excellent. I mean, these soft tyre rounds have been really good, and I tell you, I've been obviously out of the chair exactly a year this weekend when I was diagnosed, and you forget how competitive and how cutthroat the sport is. It's not until you arrive back here and you see the biff and bash, and there's no gentleman drivers out there at all.
It's very intense today. Now, Jace, obviously we know your battle with cancer. It's up and down at times. How are you travelling at the moment?
Look, we're just coming off a bad result again, unfortunately. So it's gone into my bones. So I've got it in my lung, my liver and my bones now. A real shame. I mean, obviously we're onto some good drugs, some very expensive drugs, but you know, even today I've had fans giving me, you know, support, and they've been selling things for me, and it's just been the motorsport community has been amazing to me. But you know, physically I'm still in a reasonable mental shape, and I faded away a little bit. I'm starting to look like you Brett, you know. But I tell you what, it's been a really tough grind. Anybody with cancer or who's been through it, it's very, very difficult, and I take my hat off to everybody who's been through it.
And we take our hat off to you, Jace. You know you've always got a lot of mates here and a lot of love in pit lane, and it's great to see you back here, mate. All the best.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, guys. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And well done, Barretts. It is great to see Jace Richards here under very tough and difficult circumstances. What a fighter.
And there's not a person in this industry that doesn't have the best wishes for Jason and his family as he fights.
So inside 10 laps to go, and it's interesting here because Jamie Whincup's lap times are being equalled not by Mark Winterbottom or Will Davison, but by Craig Lowndes. Down the back straight. Aha, there she goes.
So it's just a bit of the door skin that's come off that car. And just echoing those remarks of the colleagues here, you'll go a long way to find a better person than Jason Richards. We've just got our fingers and everything else crossed for Jason and his family.
So there's Holdsworth with Van Gisbergen right up onto the back of Slade there now. Van Gisbergen was just told the rules of engagement. You can race, but don't make contact. So with 7 laps to go, Van Gisbergen right up onto the back of the lucky 747 car of Tim Slade.
This will be awkward for him because this is where you go back into tyre use again when you're trying to hustle a teammate, another car in front, in this case Lee Holdsworth, and there is his teammate indeed, Michael Caruso, off down at turn, is it 9?
Yep, a lot of damage in the back of it there. And the front. He was in the middle of that foray. So when all that drama was unfolding with Ingle, he was right in the middle of that, and he bulldozed his way through, so that's where the front damage come from. But there's new rear damage there, so there'll be another story to tell as a consequence of, you can see all that rear bumper damage on the back of the Fujitsu Commodore. So here we go. And bump, that's a bump from Moffat onto Todd Kelly.
Yep.
And then Caruso reverses his way into the sandpit. He did a very good job to get out. Normally that car would be bunkered and it would be safety car time.
Well, he was the innocent victim there, really, wasn't he?
So good job there. Also starting 27th for Steve Owen, currently 11th, so that's a good run for him. Been a lot of drama. He's up in behind. Rick Kelly's just out of the top 10. The other battle that's really happening is, and this has been a good battle all day, between Rick Kelly and James Courtney. They've been fighting for 9th and 10th position, so Rick Kelly gets by James Courtney for 9th spot. But the other battle that's really hotting up is Tander, Lowndes, Davison. Tander is right behind Craig Lowndes, and Craig Lowndes is right behind Will Davison. So we've got the closing 5 or 6 laps of this race. Some really interesting battles. This is this battle now for 2nd spot.
Tander's pace got him to the back of the queue. The problem is now that little margin that he had with the tyres is probably gone away, so it's got him to where he'd like to be, but whether he can actually do anything more about it remains to be seen. Of course, this is the reverse of the last couple of laps of Bathurst, so an interesting little battle there between these two. They've had some great races over the years. Whincup's got 1.6 seconds now over Mark Winterbottom. Winterbottom was actually very quick to the second sector on this particular lap. He's actually clawed a little bit of road back. Here it is. Here's the margin. It's a long final sector on this racetrack, so it doesn't give you a complete picture of the timing. The gap is now 1.8, so he got away in the last sector again from Frosty, from Winterbottom in second. This is shaping up, though, as you said, Mark. 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. It's what, half a dozen car lengths? Maybe a bit more, might be 10 car lengths. Whatever it is, it's not very much.
And there'll be a move amongst this bunch because Lowndes wants to get by Will Davison and Tander looks strong. I heard a driving infringement drama there. I'll fill you in on who someone's going to be penalised as a consequence, I think, of the Caruso spin.
Yeah, James Moffat, I think, has had the drive-through penalty that we may have missed. I see him touring through the lane in front of me, and he'll get another one because the rear bumper's hanging off the car. So they probably won't like the fact that there's so much of it flapping at the rear there. You can't really see it because of the black colour. You can see it better from this angle. And he's just been given a mechanical black flag, so
double penalty. So one for a driving infringement, and the second one for the bodywork hanging off the back of car 18. This is on board now with Will Davison. So the two teammates from FPR, right behind is Craig Lowndes. He wants to come forward because he wants to minimise the points damage that Whincup has as he leads this race. And don't worry, Garth Tander doesn't care about the championship. All he wants to do is do a good job in this race.
Gizzy's asked Dave Stewart, can Tim just let me go? I'll have a go at Lee Holdsworth, and if I don't get him, I'll give it back. And outstanding mechanical black flag still for James Moffat at race control. He's just letting everybody know. So this is continuing to tighten up here, this battle. It's all good news for Whincup. 3 seconds now is the gap.
Look how much curb they use there, Coco. In fact, they filled the back of that curb with tar. The cars are across there so much that the grass used to just dig itself out.
3 to go, mate.
So,
3 to go.
As they go down the front straight, there's the gap. And there is also in the top left of screen, car 18 being repaired.
So Will Davison's tyres are 4 laps younger than his teammate Mark Winterbottom, and that could be a telling fact right now. So there's Will Davison, the trading post car, chasing his teammates a couple of car lengths away, but Lowndes all over the back of Will, and Tander's just doing everything he can to try and climb over him. The next in the queue there. These are great races. They're like arm wrestles, aren't they, Mark? I mean, you just end up, you're just in absolute locked combat. You're so focused on the other guy, you're watching, you're looking for little mistakes. It's as though time stands still and there is no speed.
It looks like a war. It is, and it looks like a procession, but it's not, is it?
No,
I mean, you are so committed. At each end of the straights, you put your foot on the brake and you battle to make the corner every time. At this corner, you battle to make the corner. You concentrate so hard on these exits to get the best run as possible onto these very important front and back straight. And have a look at this when you get down to the end, on board with Will, the braking effort and the body language of the cars. Watch Craig Lowndes, he turns it in early, turns it in, right up next to the curb, right out to the exit curb, grab a gear, and down here, watch how much curb usage. Bang, bang. That's turn 2 and 3, and then this exit. This is the most important one. Lowndes almost missed the apex there. Tander got a much better run.
Tander used more curb at 1 and also at 4 than Craig Lowndes did that time. He's gone the headlights on option, but I don't reckon that's going to change Craig Lowndes' demeanour much.
No.
Will Davison holding on to a spot on the podium here. His teammate ahead of him is now 3.1 seconds adrift of Jamie Whincup, who's charging fourth to his 10th race win of 2011.
There's the leader, and there's the gap. 3.1 seconds.
And all the things that Whincup had to do today. He had to qualify well. He qualifies pole. He had to make a good start. Made a great start. He's had to put great consistent laps together and not make a mistake as the battle's unloading down here with his teammate trying to pass Will Davison. He's crisscross.
And this is really important for Lowndes because a really big crash here will derail Lowndes' championship hopes completely. If Jamie continues and wins this race, Lowndes has got to stay on the circuit to make sure that he takes the title fight all the way to Sydney.
And it's impossible to look at everything at once, but Van Gisbergen's gone down the inside also of Tim Slade. and they've grabbed Lee Holdsworth in the process. So it's game on in the next bunch with just half a lap to go.
Completing the final stages of this lap, of this race and this event. Jamie Whincup has done everything right today. Everything that you're going to ask of a championship leader. A man who is so desperate to get that #1 back. 10 race wins for 2011. The fight's going all the way to Sydney. Winterbottom in second and Will Davison in third. Lowndes fourth. Tander had a look at him. And Shane Van Gisbergen will get the spot in 6th position from Tim Slade, then Lee Holdsworth, Rick Kelly and Steve Owen. Well, that's a win-win result for Team Vodafone 888 Racing as Jonathan Webb comes around. He's in 16th spot. Pretty lively battles down the back throughout this entire race.
I just happened to look up from the commentary box and saw Van Gisbergen up the inside of Slade, and it was 3 wide with Holdsworth. It was amazing, but there's no doubting what you said a moment ago, Mark, about this guy. Everything that he needed to do, he did. Mark of a champion, that stuff. The big pressure day where you've got to get it all done. Yesterday was a little wobbly. Today, and we've seen it before, he just gets that laser focus, gets back on track.
His mate Will Davison comes up alongside, ranges up alongside, gives him a wave as a congratulations. But what a professional performance today for Jamie Whincup. Not a mistake in a high-pressure day at Sandown.
Holden leads the way, and 2 FPR forwards also on the podium. Great effort from Shane Van Gisbergen. He pretty much did allowance. He was all the way down the back of the field, and then he finished inside the top 6. Steve Owen, also a great job from a fairly healthy way back as well. He started from 27th to go inside the top 10. It's a great effort for the VIP Pet Foods car. James Courtney, Jason Barguana in there in 14th. Jonathan Webb had a penalty at the start of this race where he had to slot 3 positions back from his starting grid, and Greg Murphy will just walk away from Sandown saying, what on earth have I done to deserve all that this weekend? So he held on in Tasmania, and now he's letting go a little bit because he knows it's closer and closer. This championship that means everything to this man. Make no mistake, 2010 hurt. He thought it was a title that he deserved. Had to watch James Courtney take the trophy at the end of year celebrations. It hurt a lot. He's got revenge on his mind and he's doing everything right. Craig Lowndes. Now 188 points back. Still 300 on offer in a couple of weeks' time.
Whincup undoes the driver cooling, the cool suit. Gets out of this car. He's done a fantastic job. What an amazing performance. And a bit of bonnet jumping, bit of stand on this car and wave to the crowd. What a great feeling.
Craig Lowndes, you can't be unhappy with that, mate. 188 points and 300 points up for grabs at Sydney, and you know how tough that circuit is and what it can deliver.
Well, it is, Larko. I wanted to go, or come out of this weekend and go into, obviously, Homebush within that 300 points. I think we maintained our sort of gap to Jamie. We had a good run yesterday, a little bit terrible today. But, yeah, look, I'm not too disappointed. We had a great run there with Will right at the end, but and they had Garth closing down. So, really, at the end of the day, you know, we'll see where we are overall. But, you're right, Homebush could be anything.
Mate, you're still in the fight, well and truly.
Cheers, thanks, Larko.
Hey, Jamie Whincup, congratulations. You continue to do everything right. That was another big step today.
Thanks, Brett. Just want to thank everyone for coming out, especially everyone that came out yesterday. It was shocking conditions, but hey, my 888 Holden was on rails today. The guys did a great job in the stops, give me good tyres, and it was just a matter of getting there at the end. Couldn't be happier.
Now, Jamie, you just got to shake off that teammate somehow.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. No, both cars have been quick all year, and we're going to take the battle to Sydney, which is the way it should be.
It should be. Well done, Jamie. Congratulations.
Thank you. Cheers.
Congratulations too to Mark Winterbottom. A great result for the Ford Performance Racing team. Frosty, you hung in there and fought it all the way.
Yeah, we're getting there. The car was not too far away, and I just had a little bit of understeer. I just couldn't stay with him, but double podium again. FPR is really kicking on strong for the rest of the year. That should put us back to third, and Wilbur's up there as well. So great day for the team.
An important weekend. Well done, Frosty.
Thanks, mate.
And Will Davison, boy, it has been a very good weekend. Congratulations, third spot.
Yeah, made up at least for throwing it away at the last corner of yesterday's race. So certainly the boys deserve some champagne after my little error yesterday. But we're ticking these podiums along, and obviously we want that big number one. But I mean, look at this. FPR got 2 cars on the podium again. So Trading Post Falcon was pretty strong then. We had a great strategy. I've got to thank Shippy, my engineer, and had some pretty good tyres at the finish. But it was a pretty uncomfortable situation being behind my teammate, and I didn't want to do anything silly. So anyway, bring on Homebush.
Bring on Homebush. 2 more races to come, and that is a sharp-looking mow. Well done, Will.
And it's great for Norton, their home event, and one of my supporters. So I'm glad to be on the podium.
Congratulations, mate. Enjoy.
Thank you. Cheers.
It's all worked well for Will Davison. Good drive today. Good effort across the weekend. Think of Jamie Whincup's numbers. I mean, he's now won races in Abu Dhabi, New Zealand, Western Australia, Townsville, Gold Coast, Tasmania, and now here at Sandown. And that's the net result, 188 points, the difference between him and his teammate. 300 points still on the table when we get to the streets of Sydney, where, as we know, anything can happen. Mark Winterbottom now third in the chase for to be the leading Ford. And that fight continues between him and Shane Van Gisbergen. Brett?
Podium presentation time for the 2011 Norton 360 Sandown Challenge. Would you please congratulate in first place for Team Vodafone, Jamie Whincup. In second place, Orcon Steel Ford Performance Racing, Mark Winterbottom. And in third place, Trading Post Ford Performance Racing, Will Davison, representing the winning team with that magnificent Movember mow, Adrian Burgess from Team Vodafone. Making the presentation to third place is Dylan Adams. He's one of our lucky winners from Norton. He's 13 years of age and a mad keen go-karter. Presenting to second place is Trudy Wood, the head of marketing for our major sponsor this weekend, Norton. And Trudy also presenting the team's trophy. Congratulations to Adrian Burgess. And presenting first place, Matthew Drake, Senior Director of Norton. The 2011 Norton 360 Sandown Challenge, race 26 winners.
The emotion is now starting to bubble over for Jamie Whincup. He knows how important this weekend is. It's not done yet, but he's done everything possible to make sure that he's got his hands on that championship trophy in a couple of weeks' time. Another win here for Team Vodafone.